friends, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I'm really excited in this video today to be sharing with you my October bullet journal setup. I have a special announcement and a little sneak peek preview I'm going to show you of a really exciting project I've been working on at the end of this video, so stay tuned for that. So I'm starting with a black page on the left side, and I'm just cutting it out roughly first, and then I'm going to use that paper cutter that you can see to refine the edges and get a perfectly straight line. This is a great paper cutter that I got at a dollar store. You definitely don't need to spend a lot of money to get these nice art supplies. I'm using double-sided tape that I also got at a dollar store, and I just paste that down around the edges, and then I'm going to use a roller tape that you'll see in a second to just touch up the edges. And that's the best way I've found to glue these papers down really smoothly without having to deal with like messy wet glue. So yeah, these glue rollers are really useful, but they're a little bit expensive, and that's why I try to use the double-sided tape for the majority of it. So I'm pasting this black paper down and then just trimming the edges. You can see the last page of my September setup there. And now I'm going to be using my Sakura Pigma Micron pen in the 01 size, and I'm starting to draw out the design for my cover page. So I'm drawing this like kind of spooky haunted house look. I forgot how much I really enjoyed using this pen. This was one of my go-tos for the longest time. And then after I used this thin pen, I also grabbed my Faber-Castell marker as well, and these two pens were like my go-to black fine liners. Lately, in the past like 4 or 5 months, I've been using my Ohuhu black fine liner pens, which are also great and were given to me by Ohuhu. Those are really great, but I do miss using these higher quality pens. I will say for the price point, I think Ohuhu is great value. These are more expensive pens, but I can see the difference in the feel of the pen tip as well as the flow of the ink and also the color of the ink. I think the black from the Faber-Castell pens is one of the best I've ever seen. It's really, really rich, nice black. So yeah, I kind of missed using these pens, and I was really happy to be able to use them again. Next to the house, I'm adding some tree branches. I wanted to give a kind of spooky Halloween effect, so I made sure the branches were really jagged and doesn't have a lot of smooth edges. And now, time to pick a green marker that matches that paper that I bought earlier. So these are the options I found in my collection. I'm gonna test them all out here and pick the green that matches the paper the most closely. I went a bit back and forth on like what kind of green to use. I ended up buying this like lime green paper, but I kind of debated going for like a neon fluorescent kind of green as well, but it had more yellow tones to it, so I ended up just going with this green. And I picked this Ohuhu green marker for the green pen that I'm going to use, and I colored in all the windows over here. And then in terms of the font that I used to write the name of the month, I actually ended up covering this up later, and I'll show you that at the end of the video, so this is not the final cover page. But onto the left side now, I'm using my Jelly Roll gel pen here. This is one of the best white pens that I've ever found, but I do feel like it skips a little bit. Like you have to go over the lines a couple times sometimes. It's better for smaller doodles as opposed to like longer, faster lines. So yeah, you have to draw a little bit slowly, and I find it also helps to hold the pen vertically. But I'm completing the tree now, and I like the idea of this kind of one doodle that's half black, half white, kind of like I did with this tree. And then I colored it in, but that really drained my gel pen. So for this tree that I drew over here, I didn't color it in. I actually still haven't colored it in because I just didn't want to kill my white gel pen like that. And these gel pens are a little bit pricey as well. So yeah, actually I've just left it as is. But now I'm adding a couple little bats and an owl on the tree. And that's it for the cover page. On to the next page now. This is going to be for the goals and a calendar page. And for this page, I'm doing a full green page in the background. And so I'm doing the same thing I did before, putting down the tape around the edges. And then I'm going to paste that green paper here. Then I'm just trimming the edges on the back side of it to get a clean green paper. For the page on the other side, I had this idea to do this sort of like dripping slime shadow effect thing. So I drew out the drip marks on the green paper and I cut all of that out, but I wanted to have a sort of shadow effect with the black paper as well. So after I cut all of this, I put some black paper behind it, as you're gonna see in a second. And then in order to get the right shape, I traced it out exactly first, and then I used my pencil and kind of drew a second line sort of offset from that first line. And if that doesn't make sense now, I think it'll make sense in a second when I place it down. But I cut out all of that, and then I just laid it out how I wanted to show the shadow here. I put the black paper in front in the end because there was a lot of green going on this page already, but I just cleaned up the edges with the paper cutter there, and now I'm pasting this down, and I think it gives a really cool kind of shadowy effect on the left side. I'm going to create a calendar. So I've cut out a black paper already that's the right size for my calendar, and this is what I was talking about earlier about the white gel pen kind of skipping. For these like faster, longer lines, I find that you have to go over them and you have to really move slowly, so that is one downside of this white pen, but it's still one of the best white pens I've ever found. It does make a really nice rich white color. So I made this calendar, and this is going to be perfect as like a little reference guide, I think, throughout the month. And I'm just cutting out the days that I don't need, and then I'm going to paste that down on the page. For the font here, this is the same font I did on the cover page. I'm using this block letter font, and then I drew the kind of dripping slime effect from each letter, and as well I added a drop shadow to the right of each line, and so it creates a kind of 3D block effect with like the dripping slime. So I colored that in black on the right side, and I'm going to color it in green on the left, but it's the same font. It's a block letter with the drop shadow and the dripping kind of slime effect. And I thought this was a really perfect way to make it look kind of spooky, Halloween-y, but without being like too scary. Not really into like the super scary parts of Halloween, but I like this kind of, creepy, kind of spooky, but still kind of cute, doodly balance that I found here. I liked the look of that dripping slime shadow effect so much that I decided to do the exact same thing on the last notes page, but I've reversed the colors here, so I have green on top and a black shadow. So I cut that all out and I'm pasting it down just like I did on the other page. This is going to be the notes page in the back. And then on the other side, I pasted a black paper, and I wanted to have a full black weekly spread effect. And then unfortunately, I forgot to record this, but here is what that final spread looked like. Now I'm going to create the first weekly spread. I'm going to leave the rest of the weeks for the month, and I'll just do those as I go throughout the month, and I'll definitely post some shorts to show you guys what I ended up creating for each week. But for the first week, I decided to go mainly white and black because there was a lot of green on the previous page already. So I'm just cutting out 6 boxes, and I'm going to paste those directly onto the page, and then I'm going to add some decorations around that. This theme is a little bit out of my comfort zone. I've actually never really been a big fan of Halloween. I don't know if that's maybe a very unpopular opinion, but it's just never been one of my favorite holidays. I'm not really big into costumes or dressing up, and I really don't like anything kind of spooky or scary, like definitely no horror movies or anything gory like that. I just really don't like it, and so this is so unlike me, I think. However, I think the style of the art, like the kind of clean and simple lettering and simple color scheme, that is my style. So I think this was still a good balance of trying something new, like the spooky vibes, which is very unlike me, but still keeping it within my normal art style. And that makes me actually really like this theme. I think it's spooky and Halloween, clearly, but it's still quite cute and doodly, and it's not actually like a scary visual. So yeah, I'm super happy with how this theme has turned out. The spread is so cute with these little ghosts. I like that ghost in the top left the best, personally. And then I'm just adding a little few doodles around the page. I felt like it looked a little bit empty still, so I decided to use these cobweb doodles to fill in some of the empty space. These are super easy. Let me know in the comments if you would like to see some tutorials about how I drew some of these ghosts and cobweb doodles, but they're super easy. I added a couple little spiders, just doodly enough that they weren't too scary, and that's it for this spread. So as I mentioned at the beginning, I actually ended up changing my cover page, and it was because after I did all the other spreads, I felt like this front page was too white and it looked kind of like unfinished, and I felt like it needed some of that green paper to tie it together and make it pop and also make it actually represent the theme a little bit better. And looking at this now, I'm really happy I did what I did because it looks quite like empty and unfinished in my opinion. So I taped this green paper over it, and then I used the black pen to just touch up the bits of the house that had been covered by the paper, and same with that tree over there. I'm just completing, like basically redrawing what I had already drawn that got covered with this paper. But I think this looks so much better, so much more complete, and now I just have to redo the font and the title that I covered up. So it's that same block lettering font I've been using throughout, and you can see how I'm doing it in a little bit more detail now. I'm adding these like dripping slime things below the letter, and then I'll go in and add the drop shadow to give it that 3D effect. Let me know in the comments if you guys would like to see a little bit more in-depth tutorial of how I did this font, because it looks super sophisticated, but it's actually quite straightforward, and it gives you a lot of different options with what color schemes you're using. I liked the idea of the black dripping. I think it looks very sharp and striking, so that's what I did here. I finished off the path, and that's my October setup. So you may already know if you've been following my other videos, but I have been working for many months now on a really cool project, which is I'm creating a 2025 calendar for you guys, and I used this tablet that's plugged into my computer to recreate all of my past bullet journal themes. I traced over all of my existing drawings, and I used Canva to lay everything out and do all the doodles digitally. This is something I've been working on for many months now, and it took a long time, a lot longer than I thought. Actually, there was a lot of learning curve as well for me, but I worked so hard on it, and I'm so happy with how it turned out. Once I had all the artwork done and all the layouts completed in Canva, I went ahead and printed out the calendar, and I was so happy with how it turned out. It looked so sharp, and I printed it on very high quality paper for you guys. Then I bought this funny looking machine secondhand on Facebook Marketplace. I punched holes in all the pages, and I used the machine to use these wire coils to bind it, and the wire is really sturdy, feels much higher quality than like a plastic coil. And this is the final result. This is a sneak peek first look at the 2025 calendar, but I'm going to be launching this later in the fall, so stay tuned for that. You'll be able to buy it on my Etsy shop, and I'll also be releasing some digital versions as well that you can just download if you prefer to use digital planning. And then finally, super exciting, I'm also going to be releasing a full-blown 2025 bullet journal with all the themes already pre-done for you for all the months. So this one is not quite done yet, but here is a little sneak peek look at it. So stay tuned for more updates because I'm so excited that these products are almost here and almost ready to go. And here is the final flip through. You guys, I'm so thrilled with how this theme turned out. It's not my usual vibe or style, but I really like how clean it looks, and I like how much the green pops. Let me know in the comments if this is your style and what your plans are for Halloween, and I will see you guys next month. Bye, friends!